This year, after my elaborate long ride all the way across Ireland in spring for our Hairy Henry fundraiser, I thought we'd take it easy for our end of summer ride and go beach hopping around Wexford. With the van as our base for camping and transport between beaches. Flora came along as my steady, reliable trek horse, and I thought this time around I'd treat Turnip to a trip away whilst Trudy can help Tim mind things at home. And we had an absolutely wonderful time. I thought I'd share some of the highlights with you, and some of ye might even find my information useful if you are ever tempted to go for a few gallops with your horse. Mind you, Wexford County Council restricts beach riding in the summer months to early morning and late evening, so you might be best off to plan your rides outside this time of year. Our first stop was on Bano Beach. Bannow Island is a beautiful remote place at the seaside end of Bannow Bay, just south of Wellington Bridge. There is a low barrier across the car park entrance, so we had to pull in at the side of the road with our van. Also, there are county council signs prohibiting camping and overnight stays. We decided not to worry about that till later, because first of all we wanted to enjoy a stroll along the smooth sandy beach. Now, this is a beach where you have to watch for the right tide times to get full benefit from your ride. When the tide is out, you can go all the way out west along the headland overlooking Bannow Bay in its full glory. When the tide is in, you just have a small thin strip to ride on and share with other beach users. We had perfect timing and went for a long 2-hour ride across the firm sand and along the dunes. There was a strong easterly wind, but it was very warm and just incredibly pleasant. With all the signs and barriers up at the beach, I found us a different spot just a mile up the road on what I thought was a bit of neglected shrubby public land near the old ruined Bannow Church. Here we are, that's our camp for the night. Flora settled in. It was really hard to get any fence posts into the ground because the ground is so hard. So I kind of propped them all up. I hope it'll work. I'm waiting for the water to boil so that I can make some couscous and tinned fish, hopefully, whenever it's coming to a boil. And Turnip's dinner's over there. I think he's waiting for the tinned fish as well, rather than his dry food. Is that right, Turnip? After such a pleasant evening, trying to keep low profile, we were told off the next morning by a lady in a jeep. Turns out she had some claim on this tiny corner of shrubs and she wasn't happy about us. Of course, I apologised and we departed straight away, although she was already threatening to call the police. She will go down in my memory as the Dragon Lady of Bannow Bay, spitting fire at us even long after we had packed up and left. Never mind, but it is a sad state of affairs really that it is so tricky these days to enjoy our wonderful coast as a camper and rider. What I'm hoping to do today is head down to Kilmore Quay. And then see, can we get onto this beach here? Our plan was to ride along the beach at Kilmore Quay, but guess what? More signs. I was glad to have my maps with me and plenty of time and a van, so I explored a few small lanes east of Kilmore Quay until I found a lovely spot with beach access and no signs whatsoever. The beach is called Balihil Beach and goes all the way to the very far southeasterly corner of Ireland called Carnsore Point. We had great fun walking, trotting and cantering along the beautiful sand for about 2 hours. We could have gone for much longer still, but we had nearly covered 10 kilometres by then, so had a nice picnic and a snooze at the dune's edge, watched ships sail by and gannets diving and waves roll in before heading back again.
I'm eating my apple. Okay, you have the last bit. It's fine. There you go. Yes. Oh. Step back a bit. There we go. Turnip! Turnip boy! Turnip! Here he comes. Turnip, have a little nap down by the water. Yeah. We go back now, shall we? Yeah. Good boy.
Halfway along the beach, the sand changed from firm, fine yellow to grey, coarse, deep. Interesting. Also, there was this intriguing looking tower with pipes leading into the sea, sitting in the middle of nowhere on the beach. I couldn't work out what it had been used for. Any idea? Just having a cup of tea before bedtime with a most fantastic view of the sea. Pretty cold easterly wind still, so I have 2 jumpers on and my windproof jacket and my hat and my woolly socks. Still people enjoying themselves in the sea. There you go. I went in earlier, but I was when the sun was still high up, and the sun is setting over there now. All the way over there. Flora is grazing in the paddock behind the van, and Turnip is guarding the van. Good morning. Did you know that Crocs make perfect teacup holders when you try to get back into the tent and don't want to knock over your cup of tea? Yeah, well, that's what I discovered. And it's a lovely morning. Turnip went for his first little walk on the beach, but it seems he wants to come back in to knock over my cup of tea. That's it. There we go. And here you want to go for another little snooze. Why don't you lie down on your bed, Turnip? No? Right, we'll have
Another little snooze. It's only 6:15 in the morning.
On day 3, I had planned to ride on the famous long beach near Curracloe, just north of Wexford town. But when I tried to park the van, I was again met by many barriers and signs and fences. It is just a very popular beach, and all the many summer visitors must be kept in order, it seems. So I continued along the coast for another few miles, where I found a small dead-end lane where I could park the van and find my way down a sandy track onto Balihil Beach, where I turned south and then had a long stretch of unspoiled sand ahead of me as far as Raven Point, another 10 kilometres of unrestricted riding.
So there's Ragtree somewhere over there. Over there is Wexford, and down here is a tired turnip. Having a little snooze. Up here is a tired Flora. We walked all the way from somewhere far over there. Nearly 2 hours of beach walking to get us to the right tip end of Raven Point. Perfect timing for us. The tide is still far out there. Plenty of time to get back before the tide comes in. And this gives us a beautiful sandy beach to ride on.
After I saw how busy and populated this area was, I decided to take up the very kind and generous offer of a field just north of Blackwater at the Ragtree Equine Assisted Learning Stables. I had been following them for a while on Facebook. They do similar work to what we do here at Harry Henry's. It was great to be welcomed into a quiet field with access to plenty water and grazing, and of course it was lovely to meet Shelley and Dennis in person, and very interesting to have a chat between colleagues about our work over a cup of tea. How lucky to live so close to a sandy beach. And then finally, there's my breakfast.
So much easier, of course, to cook out of the van with a gas bottle and a gas cooker and a box of supplies and everything. It's the easy type camping holiday we're doing this year. Still fun though.
It was only a 2-minute drive from my camp to the local beach called Balihil Beach. The tide was just moving out again and gave me access to yet another pristine flat sandy beach, stretching for miles and miles either way, awaiting me for a long morning ride. We met a few walkers and runners and dogs, but otherwise we were surrounded by wide open empty spaces. We could have gone on for another long while, but at some stage it was time to turn around and start heading back, pack up and head home. Another last canter. And one last little splash in the warm sea to cool off. What a precious special place to ride. I count myself very lucky to have these wonderful beaches just a few hours drive away from home and have such great companions to share them with. Thank you to Flora and Turnip for all the fun we had on the beaches. And a big thank you, of course, to Tim, who minded everyone and everything back home whilst we were away.